The World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker. Guaranteed.
Los Angeles hosts one of the greatest tournaments in poker, where one player would win a stunning $1.3 million. Continuing coverage of the LA Poker Classic starts now, only on the WPT.
Well, the crowd all standing.
He is circling the drain.
They are going bare knuckles in the center of the ring.
He needs the extreme miracle.
Welcome back to the WPT's in-depth coverage of the LA Poker Classic from the Commerce Casino in Los Angeles. The LAPC is the tournament where some of poker's biggest names, including Phil Ivey, Gus Hansen, and Antonio Sfondiari, earned their WPT titles and became millionaires in the process. Or in the case of Ivey, just added it to the pile of millions he'd already won. But whether it was a big name or an underdog who took the title, the guys who have seen it all these past 10 seasons are still here to call the action. Poker Hall of Famer Mike Sexton and LA's own Vince Van Patten. Guys, how does this tournament stack up to those great competitions of the past?
Well, Marinella, we've had some great final tables at the LA Poker Classic in the past, and this final table has been no exception. We've seen some sterling play, just great plays, but we've also seen phenomenal drawouts at the river.
When Sean Jazzieri caught a queen on the river to eliminate Jason Somerville in 6th place. And when Dan Kelly caught a miracle ace to make a straight and send two-time WPT finalist Jason Burt to the rail in 5th place. And finally, when Noah Schwartz was saved by an 8 to put a straight on the board and split the pot versus Dan Kelly.
But Vince, the real story at this final table was the amateur who came to this final table with a chip lead, Sean Jazzieri. Yep. He's still the chip leader.
Well, it's amazing. He's only been playing poker for 4 years. He's an amateur player that honed his game in the WPT boot camps. You know, we were taking him lightly perhaps before. Can the amateur player survive in such a major tournament? Well, yes, he's not only surviving, he is torturing these young guys. It is happening. He is a chip leader. Will it continue? I don't know. But what's really interesting is that the river card is so magical this evening. It's changing everything, the river card. It doesn't always happen this way. That's what's making this event a lot of fun.
Thank you, gentlemen. This season, the LAPC winner will earn over $1.3 million and, of course, join the elite WPT Champions Club, which includes having their name engraved on the prestigious WPT Champions Cup. Cards are about to go back in the air, so let's get down to the table.
Well, there you see the chip count. The amateur, Sean Jazzieri, out in front with nearly $7.4 million. Dan Kelly in 2nd place with 5.5. Doc Sands in 3rd with 2.1. And in 4th place right now is Noah Schwartz.
All right, as you can see, first place prize taking over 1.3 here tonight in LA. Andes will be 10,000. Blinds are 40 and 80. Let's go to the felt. Noah Schwartz, also known as Nick Lovin from the movie Superbad, goes away. And now Doc Sands, 27-year-old out of Vegas, also folding.
I call.
Well, Doc, one's to watch this season on the World Poker Tour. Not this hand as he folds, but Sean Jazzieri just limps in with ace high, does not raise with it. So Dan Kelly, with queen jack in the big blind, thinks he's got the best hand. He makes a raise.
Call.
Yeah, he does. And he's going to get quickly called by the ace high.
You're not going to put your opponent on an ace when they limp in a small blind. And the flop comes king, king, 9 with 2 hearts.
Check.
Action on Sean. He checks. Dan Kelly, of course, with a gut shot straight draw, is going to bet here.
Yep, Dan, only 22 years old. Looks younger than a Chinese gymnast. He's going to get called.
And he's not liking this call, I can promise you.
Check.
Well, Sean checks again. And
Sean picked up a pair of 4s there. Dan's going to slow down with a check, Mike.
I don't blame him. Well, the 8 of hearts comes off, so 3 hearts on the board.
200.
Look at this.
Well, he's going to bet 200,000.
Now, you wonder if Sean thinks he's bluffing this pot, or is he betting for value, which I can't imagine.
Dan Kelly, they call him DJK, going to muck his hand. Be careful when you play with this amateur. He can bite back.
I'm the senior guy, I mean the oldest guy, but I'm also the least experienced.
I apologize to you and the table.
To be perfectly honest, this might be a once-in-a-lifetime event for me, so I'm going to make the most of it.
I'm all in.
All in.
You got to be realistic. Even if I was Phil Ivey, I'd say my odds are 35%. If I was Phil Ivey, The truth is I'm not surviving.
I know everyone at the table was pulling for me, so I appreciate your efforts.
I think the odds of being in the top 3 are reasonable, given the stack sizes, but I'm playing against some excellent players.
Well, they are excellent players, but right now, Sean in control. He's been to 3 WPT boot camps. The WPT boot camp has seen 2 alumni make final tables this season. Remember Bob Carboni at Foxwoods? He's another boot camp alumni. Vince, it's just great to see these guys cashing in on what they learned at the WPT boot camps.
All right, back to the game. A quick fold by Dan Kelly, and now Noah Schwartz from Florida looks at a 7 deuce of hearts. He's got the button. He's got chips, and he's going to get brave with a raise. 160 to go.
Well, Noah had major league pitching aspirations in his mind. He was a lefty.
I call.
Pitched in high school and college, but had elbow trouble. Now been a poker pro 9 years.
Doc is out, and Sean has picked up ace-jack, but no re-raise. Just calling.
What a flop for Noah. It's come queen 7-7. He's flopped 3 sevens.
Yep, Sean with ace high, and Noah can't believe his luck here. Got to stick out a very delicate 110. Try not to chase him away, but that's exactly what happens. Sean releases his hand.
He's making a continuation bet. Just thinks it'd be too suspicious if he didn't make one on that flop.
They have the queen 7. It's crazy.
I did. I pushed you on queens.
Sick read. See on TV, it's pretty sick read.
Yay.
Well, Noah taking down that pot, but he would have liked to get a little more action there.
Hoping you had the 7.
I had a big hand. Pre-flop.
Oh, that's going to make Noah even more crazed right now.
Well, this is Doc Sands now. He's going to raise it.
Call.
Sean quickly calls with king 7. Dan Kelly out. And Noah Schwartz also out. So king 10 up against king 7, and we are flopping.
Well, flop comes ace 8-5 with 2 spades. Well, Doc does
I check.
not make the continuation bet, and Sean quickly checks right behind him. And now a 7 comes off, and Sean now has the best hand with a pair of 7s.
Doc disillusioned about his hands tonight.
150.
Checks again. Sean going to bet with the 7s.
Just puts his opponent on something like king, queen, or queen, jack, and he's going to bet the 2 7s and take it down.
Well, Vince, you got to say he is wowing this crowd right now. They might not have been a fan of his before the night started, but the way he's handled these young guys so far, very impressive.
And what's also impressive, Mike, is right over there, the Royal Flush Girls Social Bar, which we have here in Season 10, where the Royal Flush Girls enjoy talking to the many patrons and railbirds. What do you think they're talking about, Mike?
Can I whisper it to you? Do I have to say it on air here, Vince? But I think their bluffs are going to get called by these girls.
It's a great addition we have on the World Poker Tour. I mean, think about it. You go to a football game, you can't sit next to the cheerleaders and chit-chat. What a bargain this is.
When bust out, there's still hope on the World Poker Tour.
They're at every WPT event, along with Mike Sexton and myself. Look at this, Mike. Sean Jazzieri with a pair of kings.
Well, everything's gone right for him so far, and now he looks down and finds a pair of kings. You gotta love it.
Gonna make it 210,000 to go now. Dan Kelly with a pair of 10s right behind him.
Well, could get himself in trouble here. The aggressive player 3 bets here, but he does not. He just calls with the 2
Wow,
10s.
just calls. And now Noah Schwartz with a ace-jack, decent hand.
Well, Vince with his stack size. And Dan Kelly not re-raising pre-flop. He may just go with this hand. I wouldn't blame him if he did. I'm talking about moving all in.
Well, you're thinking about, hey, listen, you can have some dead money.
All in.
And that's exactly what he's thinking. He's thinking about a squeeze play. It could be at the wrong time. He has gone all in. Doc Sands getting out of the way.
I'm all in.
Well, quickly, Sean going all in as well. Gives Dan Kelly an opportunity to get out of the pot with his 2 10s.
And he does so. Oh, this is incredible. Noah trying the squeeze play at the wrong time, perhaps.
Well, Noah got lucky last time and stayed alive when he hit 2 runners to make it straight to split the pot. Right now, he's looking for a bullet.
Oh, wow. I played so bad this tournament. Jesus Christ.
Doesn't mean he can't get lucky here.
I'm the worst.
He is being tough on himself.
I look like an online dunk on TV, that's for sure. Queen, king, 10, sweat?
Now the flop.
Come on, that would be fun.
I'm game.
I deserve to get lucky, right?
Ace-Jack up against Kings, and the flop is 6-6-10. Now, look at that. It would have been 3 of a kind for Dan Kelly.
Oh.
He's miserable about that.
Can't believe it.
If it's happening, it's not happening till the river.
Well, that's the way this tournament's been about, yeah.
But this has been a crazy night here at the Commerce. Suckouts galore. It could happen. Not there. It's a 9.
Well, we're down to the river. Noah Schwartz must catch an ace on the river to stay alive if he wants to win this tournament.
Slow. Do sweat. But slow, though.
Can he get the bullet?
For sweat.
He needs
For
the
sweat.
ace.
Let's take a look.
Doesn't happen as the 10 comes off.
I quads.
Dan would have made quads in this hand. He could have doubled up and had the big chip lead here. But Noah Schwartz, the former pitcher, just couldn't get it across the plate tonight, out in 4th place.
Noah Schwartz, $355,000 he'll take back to Miami, and a lot of experience. 3 players remain, and right now Noah's going over to talk to Matt Savage.
Here with Noah Schwartz, our 4th place finisher. Kind of have a tough night today.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get it. I just played really, really bad from the get-go. Not really a whole lot. No way to sugarcoat it.
Well, I mean, obviously you're a great player. You've been to 3 final tables, 8 cashes in the World Poker Tour. What's it going to take for you to take one of these down?
Not play as bad as I did, obviously. I mean, that's one of the key. I mean, I played really bad. I'm disappointed in my play, but happens.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you next at the next stop on the World Poker Tour.
I'll be there.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Noah. Back to you, Marianella.
Thank you, Matt. Noah Schwartz disappointed with his game, but he does have 3 final tables under his belt. Our 4th place finisher, Noah Schwartz, that leaves 3 players, but only one will take home that 1st place prize worth over $1.3 million. The race for the LAPC title continues here on the WPT. There's more to come, including the raw deal with Tony Dunst, a special WPT 10th anniversary interview with the woman who started it all, WPT's original hostess, the wonderful and beautiful Shauna Hyatt, and my 5 questions with WPT champ Eric Lindgren. So stick around.
Hi, my name's Andy Whetstone, and I got to live the World Poker Tour. As a Club WPT VIP member, I won a WPT main event seat to the Hollywood Poker Open. I also made the final televised table and took home more than $62,000. Join me on ClubWPT.com. For just $19.95 per month, you too can live the World Poker Tour. I am all in.
Good bet, Andy.
ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
LA Poker Classic is the most prestigious 10K buy-in tournament in the WPT.
Yeah!
It definitely attracts the best players.
I told you before it even came up!
We get the top tournament players in the world. And we have some old school people that are here. Phil Hellman, Jennifer Harmon, and of course, Phil Ivey. But we're also seeing a lot of new players, and they're hot names in poker. You know, you got David Doc Sands, Matt Waxman, and Jason Mercier. They're some of the top players in the world, and we like to see the young guns go against some of the seasoned veterans in the world of poker.
Out of all WPT titles, this is definitely the one I'd like to take home.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour, brought to you by ClubWPT.com, where Sean Jezzieri, Doc Sands, and Dan Kelly are battling it out for a prestigious WPT title here at the Commerce Casino. Right now, sideline reporter Matt Savage is down talking with massive chip leader Sean.
Here with Sean Jezzieri. You're running pretty good so far here at the final table.
That's the first statement, yes.
You seem like you're not intimidated. You got all these young pros out there with you. Why does it seem like you have no fear?
I'm playing fearful. I'm scared of these guys. When you're scared, you do strange stuff.
Who intimidates you the most?
Can you hear us? The person I'd like to see get out is Dave Sands, because I think he's a great, both of them are great players, but Dave Sands is the one guy I'd like to see get out.
All right, well, good luck to you going forward, Sean.
I appreciate it.
Back to you, Marianella.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. Now let's send it back to Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten to check the chip counts and get back to the game.
Well, there you see the chip count. Sean Jezzieri well out in front with over 9.6 million. Dan Kelly in 2nd place. Doc Sands in 3rd. The winner going to get over 1.3 million. Next guy out gets 521,000.
Sean has folded, and Dan Kelly with ace-8 has raised.
All in.
And look at this. Doc Sands all in with $2 million.
Well, Dan quickly calls. So here we go. Dan Kelly beat him in the pot with the ace-8 offsuit, and he's out in front.
Unreal call.
Just incredible.
Snap call by Dan Kelly. Huge moment here at the Commerce Casino.
Well, Doc Sands' tournament life on the line, and king comes on the flop. Doc Sands has taken the lead.
Well, that's the way to outflop for Doc Sands. Finally, a little smile, perhaps. Dan not liking that.
And the board pairs 7, so as the cards lie, Dan Kelly must catch an ace on the river to win the pot. He did it earlier when he knocked out Jason Burt. Can he do it again?
And there's Erica David's fiance on the rail sweating her man, and it's going to pay off for Doc Sands.
So just that quick, David Doc Sands, a one to watch this season on the World Poker Tour, watches his chips double up.
Oh, and a beautiful thing to do, especially when you go into the flop as an underdog. But that's not going to bother Doc Sands right now. He's doubled up. We have 3 players remaining.
I think it's obvious Dan Kelly's got a pretty good read on the guy. Made a snap call with the ace-8 there, and it was the best hand.
Well, these are 2 tough young poker pros battling. Right now, back to the next hand. David, this time with Queen 9. That's Doc Sands. He's raised. Sean getting out of the way.
And Dan Kelly has the same hand, a Queen 9. Now, usually when both players have the same hand, whoever's doing the post-flop betting is the guy that wins the pot most of the time.
Dan Kelly, 22 years old, got in this tournament through a $1,000 satellite. He's making it pay off here tonight. Flop comes up with a nothing flop, 6-5-4. Sean
shaking his head because he'd have flopped a straight, but
certainly would have.
Not going to call a raise with a 3 deuce.
Dan checks. And Doc looks like he's going to, yes he is, make the continuation bet with Queen High, and it's going to work.
So Doc Sands picking up another pot by betting.
I think other poker players perceive me as self-confident, which is a good thing. It's kind of like any sport. I think that Kobe and LeBron and Kevin Durant think that they're the best basketball players.
It's all relative, kid. It's all relative.
That's just kind of attitude you have to take if you're in a competitive sport. I mean, no one else is going to come up to you and tell you that you're better than them very often.
That's pretty good call, but I use not call.
If you want to beat the best players and you want to perform at an elite level, you really have to put yourself in the mindset that you're one of the best.
Certainly, Doc Sands has been one of the best this past year, but nothing would top off that year more than winning this WPT title.
All right, Dan Kelly now looks down at an ace-7 of clubs. He's got the button. He's got raising chips in hand, and he slaps them in. 160,000 to go. Doc Sands out.
I call.
Now Sean going to make the call with the 76 trombones.
And here we go with the first 3.
The flop comes 9-8 deuce.
Uh-oh.
Sean's flopped an open-end straight draw.
Check.
But notice that Dan has flopped the nut flush draw.
Yeah, and Sean checks it. Dan's got to love this flop.
Well, it's a hand you're going to go with, Vince. No matter what happens, you're not throwing away the nut flush draw.
Yeah, it's 185,000.
425.
Whoa.
Sean has check raised here.
Sure.
Take that, you youngster. Young whippersnapper.
Is that what you call them now? Whippersnappers.
Well,
that's good.
I think the whip is going to go right back on Sean here in a minute. If I was Dan, I'd just move in here. And that's what he's done.
That was 1.6.
Now, to call, this is an additional 1.6 to call off with just an open-ended straight draw. I think he can get away from this right now.
It's one thing to move in with it. It's another to call your money off with it. You hate calling money off of the draw.
Not even the best draw, of course.
I call.
Oh, boy. He is doing it.
Quite a gamble here by the amateur.
You're ahead.
What's unique about these 2 particular players, one's a tough young pro, one's an amateur player that's older. Both players got in this tournament by winning a $1,000 satellite.
All right, the crowd stunned here. Sean Jazzieri, the chip leader, with a chance of knocking out another player here. Here's the turn card.
Well, an ace on the turn. So we are down to the river. Sean must catch a 5 or a 10 that's not a club to win this pot and eliminate Dan Kelly from this tournament right now.
That would be an historic beat here at the Commerce. Here we go. Let's take a look.
Well, it's a 4 clubs.
Nice hand. Thank you.
So Dan Kelly making the flush to take down that pot and double up. And Vince, for the first time tonight, Sean has taken a hit on his chip lead.
Yeah, he bet his hand on the come. Didn't pay off. He is doubled up, Dan Kelly. We're coming back with more action as 3 players remain here at the LAPC, here at the Commerce Casino.
As a Club WPT VIP, I love all the VIP-only benefits, especially the online WPT Magazine. And you've got to check out the incredible iPad version of WPT Magazine, now available in the Apple newsstand.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour, brought to you by ClubWPT.com. I'm here with Club WPT qualifier Casey Hidla. You won a seat on ClubWPT.com, and you find yourself here at one of the biggest events of the year, the LAPC. How has this experience been so far?
I feel like I'm like a kid on Christmas morning. I've been watching WPT since season 1. Got to meet all the pros, gave me all kinds of tips. I just couldn't believe how nice they were, so it's been incredible.
As you can see, ClubWPT.com VIP member Casey Hidla had a fantastic poker experience here at the Commerce Casino. He won a seat to the LAPC and even got to play with Phil Hellmuth.
All you have to do is join ClubWPT.com, and as a VIP member, you get other fantastic benefits, including the Entertainment Savers Guide and the chance, of course, to play real poker online and win your share of over $100,000 in monthly cash and prizes.
And maybe find yourself winning a seat to a major WPT event, just like Casey did.
ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
All right. Back to the play. Doc Sands quickly folds. Sean.
I call.
Sean, our chip leader, with ace-5 just calling.
And the gap is closed.
Check.
After that last hand played by Sean, where in my mind he gave away $1.6 million, he didn't have to.
And with a 10-3, says, I'm fine with that.
Well, happy to see a free flop. And the flop comes ace 8-6 with 2 spades.
Great for Sean. He's hit aces, but he's going to check. And he's going to get Dan to bet.
I call.
Yep, it's $85,000. And, of course, Sean is going to call. It doesn't re-raise. Dan doesn't like that call, of course.
Well, now a 10 comes off.
Well, that gives Dan a pair of 10s there, Mike.
Possible straight, and as you said, gives Dan second pair. But to him, he thinks he's got the best hand now.
Thinks he had the perfect card there. It's a $175,000 bet.
Never going to put your opponent on an ace the way Sean has played this hand. Didn't raise pre-flop, didn't bet or raise on the flop. Now an ace of clubs comes off. Sean has made 3 aces and checks again. And I'm certain Dan Kelly feels like he's got the best hand here the way this hand was played.
Yeah, you're right, because Sean didn't raise before the flop.
Yeah, I would think my opponent had 2 6s or 2 8s here.
That's what it looks like. Dan coming out with another bet, $375.
Sean takes the deep sigh here.
I call.
And he's going to make the crying call and win the pot with 3 aces. And I think Dan is going to be a little surprised to see that.
Well, that's why it pays sometimes to not be a pro. Don't play so routine, so tough.
Kitchen's no good. I was going to say, that seems dirty.
And right now, Sean taking that pot by the nice play.
Well, the WPT boot camp instructor is going to be happy to see the way he played that pot. You got a good hand, check it, let the aggressive player bluff his money off.
Well, this time, Sean has picked up a big hand. Ace-queen. He's got the button, and he is getting that racing chips this time, mixing up his game nicely. He's going to make it 180 to go. Dan out.
Now Doc Sands has a 9-4, and is going to raise here, Vince. He's not calling with his hand. He's come over the top and 3-bet it. And Sean may just set him in right here.
560 total. I call.
Huge hand in a 3-handed game, but Sean just calls. Does not re-raise here with the ace-queen. Wants to see a flop first. Here it comes. Well, it's come king 7-4. Doc Sands has made 2 4s. He now has the best hand. He's going to bet here and just hope his opponent doesn't have a king in his hand.
Yep, $670,000.
Sean mucks his hand.
You might have got there, but I was definitely ahead on the flop.
Most people that repropped you with what I had.
I guess we would have got it in then.
You're right.
I wouldn't fold my hand to anybody, even you.
Oh, boy.
Not even to a donkey, huh?
Well, I mean, I flatted ace-king against you earlier in the tournament. You remember that? That was a showing of respect.
Bunch of poppycock going on here.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
That's what we hear at the poker table all the time.
So far, since this final table started, not one player has ever had the chip lead other than Sean Jazayeri, but Doc Sands closing the gap on him right now.
All right, the blinds are going up to 50 and 100,000. And right now, a quick fold by Dan Kelly, and Doc Sands going to raise with a 4-5 of clubs, makes it 280 to go. Sean with Jack-9 going to make the call.
So same 2 guys going at it again. Flop comes 10-8-6. Doc has flopped a gut shot straight draw, but Sean has flopped an open-end straight draw.
Doc Sands bets 360 in a quick call by Sean.
One thing's a certainty now, whoever wins this pot will be our chip leader.
Doc Sands needs some luck. He gets a good card there.
Well, he sure does. That gives him a flush draw, and a deuce would now make him a straight as well. So good card for Doc, and he's going to bet because of it.
640,000.
Healthy bet here.
I call.
What will Sean do with the open-end straight draw? There's your answer, folks. He has made the call.
Boy, he is like a broke cousin. He just will not go away. Making this call.
Doc looking for some help here. Doesn't happen as the 10 comes off. The best hand between him is Jack High.
Doc is just disappointed in that card and the way things are going. He checks it, putting up the white flag. And Sean, with absolutely nothing, is going to make a bet. Doesn't need it, though. Doc Sands releases the hand.
So Sean Jazayeri taking down a big pot to widen his chip lead with 3 players left.
Boy, he just okie dokie. Doc Sands in that. Backfires for the young guy. And right now, the amateur player, Sean, once again extending his chip lead. Incredible.
We have to take a break, but I think I can hear rumblings from Tony Dunst backstage. That means it's time to bring him front and center for another installment of The Raw Deal. And we have a special visitor to help celebrate WPT's 10th season. I'll be joined by WPT's first hostess, Shauna Hyatt. So stick around.
The World Poker Tour has always supported great charitable causes. And in 2012, we're launching the WPT Foundation.
Go to WPTFoundation.org to learn about our global charity partners and find out how you can join us in playing for a better world.
Welcome back to the WPT's coverage of the LA Poker Classic, brought to you by ClubWPT.com. After going deep at Bellagio, our very own Tony Dunst played the LAPC, falling short of the money after being among the chip leaders early on. But win or lose, Tony never holds back, and he proves it in this edition of The Raw Deal.
Dan Kelly is perhaps a new name to a large percent of our audience tonight. However, if you grew up in the world of internet poker as I did, then Dan DJK123 Kelly is a very familiar name. And if there's one thing you know about him, it's that he's crazy, but in his own way, gloriously crazy. The thing about being regarded as a well-known crazy is that if you're smart, you'll adapt to your image and find ways to cash in on it. If you have an aggressive and bluff-happy reputation like Dan Kelly, then the adjustment you make is to go for value in some razor-thin situations because you anticipate your opponents are looking for excuses to call you. However, it's not an exact science, and against players like Sean that have an aptitude for checking with showdown value, it can often result in doing the betting for your opponent and sending yourself on a one-way trip to Value Town. At the start of this blind versus blind hand,
I call.
Sean Jazayeri limps ace-5 in the small, and Dan checks his garbage 10-3 in the big. When the flop comes ace-6-8 and Sean checks, Dan fires his first bullet as a pure bluff.
I call.
Sean calls, and my assumption is that Dan intends to shut down unless his hand improves. Unfortunately for Dan, that's exactly what happens when a 10 hits on the turn, giving Dan second pair. Sean checks, and Dan now bets $175,000 for value, hoping to bleed some money off an 8 or 6 and protect against hands holding 1 spade. Sean makes the call and gets the perfect card on the river, the ace of clubs. Sean checks again, and after considering his sizing, Dan bets $375,000. Dan makes this third barrel, which is a value bet, for 3 reasons. First of all, he thinks it's unlikely Sean has a better hand because many holdings with an ace would raise pre, and some percent of the time, Sean would bet the flop with an ace. Also, Dan knows that the rivered ace discounts the likelihood that Sean has an ace, and is continuing with his read on the turn that Sean usually has an 8 or 6. Second, Dan also believes Sean would probably bet the flop with a flush draw, and that he's check called all the way to the end makes that holding pretty unlikely. Third, he knows due to his aggressive and bluffy image, it's more probable that an opponent makes a stand and calls him down light with a weak pair, particularly since it's hard for Dan to have an ace when he checks pre-flop as well.
I call.
And he's going to make the crying call and win the pot with 3 aces.
I believe that Dan's third barrel essentially boils down to a case of right idea at the wrong time. So Dan's play here, not so crazy. Dan himself, oh, he's still crazy.
Well, Dan Kelly, a very tough player, but probably wishing he would have checked on the river now, Vince.
All right, as you can see, the 53-year-old Sean Jazayeri is the chip leader with close to $8.5 million in chips. David Doc Sands with 4.4, Dan Kelly with about 3.5. The first place prize over $1.3 million. Action's going to Sean.
Raise.
Yeah, going to raise on the button here.
Lines of 50 and 100. He's going to make it 250,000 to go. Dan out.
Over to Doc Sands, who looks down at the Queen Jack of Diamonds. He's going to make the call, wants to see a flop. Better hope Diamonds doesn't come up.
Well, better than that for Doc. He hits queens.
Doc checks.
275.
Sean quickly bets 275,000. You think he bets too fast sometimes. Just never takes his time whether he's going to fold or whether he's going to play. If I'd suggest one thing to him, I'd say just take a deep breath and slow down, whether you bet or whether you fold. Don't do everything in such a hurry. It's hard to criticize his style for where he's at right now.
Doc is going to slowly make the call with top pair. Still hook his man a little bit. 6 on the turn, pairs the board. Doc again, throwing the rope.
I check.
And a nice slow down there by Sean Jazzieri.
Indeed it was. Now a 7 comes off. I'm certain Doc feels like he's got the best hand now. And he's going to bet 440,000.
Feels like a busted flush draw to me.
And now you see Sean contemplating what to do.
How much is the bet?
So he's bet about a third the size of the pot here.
And Sean's saying, how much is it? Will my ace high possibly win this? Wow.
He does make the call, and he is going to lose the pot.
Great hand. Well played.
Doc Sands shows him the queens and takes down the pot.
Sean going for the hero play.
Very well played, Dave.
Sometimes it backfires, but at least he's in the game.
And Vince, right now, Marinella has a special guest up visiting her.
What a treat I have for everyone watching. You never know what the LAPC is going to deliver, and it's delivering something quite beautiful this evening. The wonderful Shauna Hyatt. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Well, Shauna, you're the veteran here. I mean, you've done season 1, 2, and 3. Sort of paved the way for the rest of us, so thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Well, season 1, you know, we were just filming and going from city to city, and not very many people knew that much about the show itself. But season 2, I remember coming out of the dressing room area and looking at the line of people that were signing in on the opening day, and I couldn't believe the numbers. It had doubled and tripled from the previous
This
season.
is catching on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And tell us about some of your favorite poker moments.
Let's see. Definitely the cruise ships.
Yeah.
They were always really fun. Aruba was a lot of fun.
So, Shauna, after so many years of poker, what are you up to now?
Well, I've shifted my love of poker to a love of food.
Yum. I can join you there.
So what I really want to do is more focus on helping kids learn how to eat right, teaching kids. I started with my daughter, and I want to become a chef and maybe get a show. We'll see.
Well, I'm really good at eating.
Yes.
So if you need me to sample any of your new endeavors.
over,
Okay,
yes.
sounds good. That'll be on the next season.
Yes.
Sean and I stuffing our faces.
Yes.
Coming up.
Little fried chicken.
Yeah. Oh, I'm down with the fried chicken. Extra sauce. Thanks, Shauna.
Thank you.
Oh, Vince, it's great to see Shauna again. She was just wonderful out here in the World Poker Tour the first 3 seasons. All the players loved her, and all the players' girlfriends and wives loved her, too.
I know. I thought she was still with us, actually. Nah, just kidding. It is great to see her. And right now, we have a 3-way battle here at the Commerce Casino. Action going to Sean. This time, he's got a 9-7 of clubs. Makes it 225, Mike.
Dan Kelly going out, and Doc Sands has the ace-4. He's going to call and see a flop.
So ace-4 up against 9-7. And we are flopping.
What a flop for Doc Sands. He's flopped top and bottom pair.
Yeah, he's going to try to trap.
225.
And he's going to get Sean to bet with the 7s, 225,000.
Well, Doc may think the guy's got a big ace. Might make a lot of money if he raises here. And that's what he's going to do.
I fold.
I don't blame him for this.
Nice hand.
But he chases his man away, acting like he's excited to win that.
One time only.
One time only what? You showed?
Oh, no, they asked me for a fist pump. I gave him a fist pump. You got to keep the fans happy.
Looked a little bit like Gus Hansen there with the flex, didn't he? Gus, a former winner of this event. Well, there you see David Doc Sands' fiancée, Erica, in the audience. And let me tell you, Vince, she's an impressive player in her own right. They both made a splash at last season's WSOP main event. Doc finished in 30th place, and Erica beat him out, finishing in 29th.
David Sands in second chip position with about 5.3, but Dan Kelly now first to act. He's got a king 7.
Looks like he's going to raise on the button. The men raised to 200,000.
Doc getting out of the way.
Sean just feels like playing right now. Makes the call with the 8-5.
Yep, he's going to speculate. Ooh, could be a good one because he's open-ended and he's going to check.
Sean with the open-end straight. Dan with second pair. And he checks also.
Surprised he didn't bet that with the continuation bet, but whoa, maybe he knew something. The 9 hits.
Unbelievable. Sean has made a straight, and he's going to bet 200,000.
And he's going to get action by Dan.
No card Dan can win with it. You get a split if an 8 comes off. That doesn't happen as a 10 comes off. And another $200,000 bet.
And a little bet.
Well, Dan's going to make the call. He just wants to see this.
8 for a straight, 8-5 offsuit.
So Sean does show him the straight. Going to take down this pot. And he just sort of reeled in the youngster there. Picked up 400,000.
Peck.
200 on the turn, 200 on the river.
Got the max out of it, Mike.
Pay me off, and he did.
It's time for the players to take a short break, but we'll be right back with more action and another edition of 5 Questions.
I hate him so much.
You know you really
You have no idea.
Season 10 of the World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com, where VIP members can win their share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. Hey, poker fans. Mike Sexton here with Vince Van Patten. We want to personally invite you to join us and the Royal Flush Girls on the WPT cruise.
That's right, Mike. Beautiful beaches, exotic ports, great poker action on board Royal Caribbean's Freedom of the Seas. You talk about poker in paradise.
That's right, Vince. This is a vacation the whole family will enjoy. For more information, visit WPTcruise.com.
Hope to see you there.
I'm Danielle, one of the Royal Flush Girls. Welcome back to the World Poker Tour.
The LAPC is celebrating its 10th season on the WPT. For years, the Commerce Casino has hosted the biggest and best names in poker. This week, I got to catch up with WPT champ Eric Lindgren on this edition of 5 Questions. When the WPT first started, you were one of the original young guns to sort of make your mark in the poker circuit. How would you compare your style when you were young to the style of the young guys that are playing today?
That was a long time ago. So, yeah, I'm trying to evolve. There's so many good players now. It's a lot different. We don't have as many guys that are just giving their chips away. The biggest difference with young players now is they are so much more aggressive. They know all the math. I think when I was a young player that I felt like I pushed people around and I was a very aggressive player. But the young players today have totally taken that up a level, maybe 2 levels, 3 levels. So what happened is that they're just so much more re-raising, and they call it leveling. It's getting information, putting them on hands, and the guts of just a burglar to do it. They're just, the young players today are amazing.
Let's talk about some of the young guns. Is there anybody in particular whose game you really admire?
Well, I don't know if Jason Mercier is still young, but I played with him last week, and he was amazing. Dan Kelly, Dan O'Brien, they were all playing great.
Yeah.
I was at a really tough table, actually.
Let's talk a little bit about your high roller bet, the Bellagio.
It's a real barometer to test your skill level. So you're really playing against the best of the best for a lot of money on the line. So nobody's mailing it in. Everybody tries so hard. So
right.
It's just a great way to test your skill level and hopefully win some money, especially if you're Eric Seidel.
Especially if you're Mr. Seidel.
God, he's good. I hate him so much.
Eric Seidel, obviously a great player, but there's something else going on there.
I think that Eric Seidel just hit that zone. He was getting a lot of cards, but he was reading people so well that he was just playing so great. He kind of took it above the rim. It was kind of like that Michael Jordan moment when Michael Jordan just went like, I can't miss. And Eric Seidel just couldn't miss last year.
And what advice do you have for those just starting out in poker?
Go to your local casino, and don't be intimidated.
Right.
Go sit in a low, no-limit game and don't feel like you're going to look stupid or something, because we all kind of did, but it takes like 5 minutes to learn, like Mike Sexton says, and I promise you, you will have a good time. Poker is fun.
Well, that's awesome. 5 minutes to learn.
That's what Mike Sexton says.
I must be awesome.
5 minutes to learn, lifetime to master.
That's a very good impersonation.
Well, he hustled me at golf once, so I never forgot it.
Oh, another player impersonating me now, Vince. The 100K Bellagio event that Eric mentioned really is a test of skill and nerve. Last season, we saw players including Daniel Negreanu, Vivek Rajkumar, and Justin Bonomo take their share of the $2.8 million prize pool. And this season, it will be a WPT televised event. And Vince, I am really looking forward to that later this year on the WPT.
David quickly folds. Sean, our chip leader, with 7.8. He's going to call with a king-queen. Right behind him, Dan Kelly, the 22-year-old with ace-queen.
Wow, most players would have raised with the king-queen. Sean didn't. Dan definitely going to raise here with the ace-queen.
And Sean has called with the king-queen. And a flop comes up, big ace there for Dan Kelly.
Well, ace-4 deuce. Sean is going to check, and Dan going to make the continuation bet.
But, of course, 275, but a quick fold by Sean.
Conservative play pre-flop, probably saving Sean money on that hand. Well, there you see the Player of the Year standings. Will the Thrill Fiala out in front, but the winner today is going to pick up 1,400 points and will automatically be tied with James Dempsey and Bobby Obuti in third place. So definitely, whoever wins here is going to be in the hunt for the WPT Player of the Year.
All right, a quick fold by our chip leader, Sean. And now Dan Kelly with a queen. 8 of clubs has raised to 250 into Doc Sands, who has an ace-7.
It's not a bad hand, but the guy's raised in front of you. Do you really want to go with this hand? Well, there's your answer. Doc Sands 3-bets him, just re-raised it right up to $680,000. Dan Kelly, the mechanical engineering major from Villanova, smart enough to fold that hand.
Did you ever work as a mechanical engineer?
No.
No? Straight to poker?
Yeah.
Poker start in college?
Yeah. In the high school.
Did you specialize in like thermodynamics or fluid mechanics? Or?
No, I didn't. It was just more general, I guess. Yeah.
Specialized in Villanova sorority girls, from what I hear.
Sean trying to find out a little bit about what makes Dan tick.
Majored in mechanical engineering, and now is a professional poker player.
Dan Kelly has made it $200,000 with Jack-9. David Sands, the Doc, going over the top. 560 to go. And Sean here with a pair of 9s.
Well, Sean with the best hand, but the pot's been raised and re-raised, so he just gets out of their way. Wants the 2 young guns just to fight it out. Hopes one of them goes broke.
Dan's going to call with a Jack-9 of diamonds. Big pot. And here's the flop.
I could get a lot bigger now as the flop comes queen, queen, 3 with 2 diamonds.
3 of a kind for the Doc. How will he play it?
This guy moves in slow motion. Very methodical bettor. 440,000 is the bet.
How much that?
I gotta work on that, Rich.
Mike, I'd be really happy if you never did that again.
I tell you who else does that. A guy named Tom Dwan, who many respect as a phenomenal player. He's also a very slow, methodical bettor that looks like he's on a crane and just puts his hands out there and then drops them in the pot.
All right, we get it. Okay, he's been called for 440. To the turn we go.
Ace comes on the turn.
No diamond for Dan Kelly. Doc loving his hand right here.
I'm just trying to figure out how he can extract chips from his opponent.
And Doc has got to make the bet. Looks like 530.
I recognize there's over 2.1 million in the pot, so Dan getting about the right price to make this call. And plus, there's another street of betting, so definitely should make the call here, and he does.
Well, they say Dan is crazy, but not playing this hand crazy. Very conservative, calling down to the river, and he has nothing to show for it. A 5 of spades on the river. Dan's hand is a bust.
Well, Doc knows he's been called on the flop and the turn.
All in.
He's hoping his opponent's got a weak queen here, in which case his 3 queens and king would be good, but not the case. He moves all in. Dan Kelly moves all out.
Big hand for Doc Sands.
Well, we lost Noah Schwartz in 4th place quite a while ago. These 3 guys been battling out ever since then. There you just saw Doc Sands pick up a nice pot off the 22-year-old Dan Kelly to move into a strong second place. But Vince, the real story at this final table has been the amateur who came to this final table with a chip lead, Sean Jazayeri. He is still out in front with 3 left.
He is a miracle worker. I mean, he is playing great poker. This guy is tough. He is folding at the right times. He disappoints these young guys with that. He is very tricky. He's confident. There is no reason why he can't win this thing.
Well, Vince, he's out in front right now, but I'm telling you, to get by these two particular players, young superstars of the game that have great poker minds, it is not going to be easy for him. I still like one of the 2 young guys to come back and win.
Well, gentlemen, it's always exciting to see who will eventually take down the LA Poker Classic here at the Commerce Casino. Will it be Sean Jazayeri, Dan Kelly, or Season 10 ones to watch, Doc Sands? Please join us next time for more of the WPT's continuing coverage and the conclusion of this competition, brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Until then, from Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, Tony Dunst, the Royal Flush Girls, Matt Savage, and the whole WPT team, I'm Marinella Pereira saying thanks for watching and good night.
I don't understand what this is for.